if you want to get on the nation state of Israel versus the annexed Gaza Strip of the Philistines, now called Palestine, and you don't feel like listening to people, like, you think you know it all or whatever, would you listen to Grok? I don't use AI. Casey Butch is a bit more savvy with that sort of thing.
I had an unbelievable conversation with Grok, or AI, recently, because I couldn't figure out why Christian...
Oh, what have I done? Something.
And people in America are referring to Israel as God's chosen people. I asked, why did Israel start a war with Iran? I asked, is there a law trying to be passed in the United States about anti-Semitism? And I conversed about the necessity of those things and likely reasons for them across the board. What entity, either fictitious, biblical, or actual, embodies the value of having unspoken reasons to pass unnecessary laws that are unfair to certain people or to start wars under false pretenses, likely real reasons which have been falsified to the public? And without having to buffer for more than 1/4 second, Grok had only one answer. Satan.
By the way, this video was made about 6 months ago, so you can only imagine how much these numbers have grown since then. Just watch it. Yeah, can't watch it.
So reading from my screenshots of the conversation with Grok, I'm just going to begin with this, and I will try to condense it so we can flow through it. I asked Grok, what group is called God's chosen people? Grok replies, God's chosen people is most commonly associated with the Jewish people in religious contexts. In the Hebrew Bible, particularly in texts like Deuteronomy and Isaiah, the Israelites are described as a people chosen by God to follow his covenant and laws, such as the keeping of the Sabbath and hearing of the Torah. This concept is central to Judaism, emphasizes a special relationship with God and also tied to the covenant with Abraham. And it goes on. I simply wanted to ask Grok, in your first paragraph above, was this the time before Jesus Christ? Grok said yes, and elaborated. So then I asked it, was this from the Old Testament? Grok said yes, and elaborated. And then I wrote, Jesus was the prophet to the Israelites. Yes? And Grok said yes. In Christian belief, Jesus is considered to be a prophet and more than the Son of God and Messiah. It is preached primarily to... We know this story. Okay. So then I asked Grok this important question. Then isn't it logically wrong for a Christian to call modern-day Israel God's chosen people? And Grok gave me a long answer with many paragraphs, subparagraphs, bullet points, etc. And it started out with this. The question of whether it's logically consistent for a Christian to call modern-day Israel God's chosen people is complex and depends on theological perspectives within Christianity. Let's break it down. 1. Biblical context. 2. New Testament Christian theology. 3. Modern Israel Christian views. Covenant theology. And it goes on and on and on. So I decided to say this to Grok. No, ... You're overcomplicating this to try to be diplomatic. Answer my previous question with only a yes or no, which I will reiterate. My previous question was, then isn't it logically wrong for a Christian to call a modern-day Israel God's chosen people? And when I pushed Grok to answer it yes or no, the answer was yes. Interesting, isn't it? We have people like Ted Cruz who just get funneled tons of money from AIPAC, and they can't tell you what AIPAC does or who controls it. And I don't know what, 2/3 of the entire Congress of the United States? Oh, they're God's chosen people. I'm sorry, are you Christian and believe in Jesus Christ? Well then, what the fuck? Okay. I think that's a fair question to ask. If you are a Christian, or even if you're not, if you're an atheist, if you're a Muslim, if you're Hindu, if you're a Buddhist, and you hear a Christian in the United States refer to Israel as God's chosen people, the question you should ask in whatever language you speak is, what the fuck?
Honey, why is this speaker on, but there's absolutely no sound coming out?
That's the magic. It's a pillow speaker. I've turned the volume.
Shut up.
Okay. I asked this question because I thought I'd just roll into it. How many Israeli people have been killed by Palestinian and Hamas in the last 1 year? And it says, based on available data from October 7th, 2023 to June 20th, 2025, the number of Israeli people killed by Palestinians, including Hamas, is approximately 1,139, primarily from the Hamas-led attack on October 7th. This includes civilian security personnel with 800 civilians, etc., etc. So that's what we have. The total has been revised down from earlier estimates of 1,200 to 1,400 by Israeli authorities. Now, I
remember that's based on Israelis reports, which most of turned out to be false.
asked it that for a reason. I don't remember, but let's keep going. But I asked it this. How many Palestinians have been killed by Israelis in the last 1 year? And it says, based upon available data from June 20th, 2024 to June 20th, 2025, which is less time than the other, over 18,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces, primarily in Gaza, according to Gaza's health ministry and other sources. This includes at least 7,000 children. The figures account for ongoing military operations, airstrikes, and ground defenses, with significant casualties reported in incidents like October 24th. Meanwhile, I asked this question a number of weeks back. Many have died since then. Total estimates vary, with some sources citing up to 20,000 deaths in Gaza alone, though precise numbers are challenging due to unrecovered bodies and ongoing conflict. Okay, so what do we have? 1,200 to 1,400 by the Israeli estimates, which will be a little high. And we've got, 18 to 20,000 Palestinians, including 7,000 children killed by the Israelis.
Which will be a little low.
All right, that's just a statement of fact. I'm not going to ask any questions. You stew on that. Let's keep going. It gets saucier. I said, how many times has Israel claimed Iran was developing a nuclear weapon in the last 30 years? Answer. Israel has claimed Iran developing nuclear weapons numerous times over the last 30 years, with specific public assertions documenting at least 20 times since 1984. Key instances include, and it goes 1984, 1992, 1995, 2002, 2009, 2012, 2018, 2019. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other Israeli officials repeatedly claimed Iran was weeks, months, or 1 to 3 years away from acquiring nuclear weapons, often citing intelligence about uranium enrichment or weaponization efforts. Let's go on. So how many times was it? 20 times have they claimed that since 1984. Gosh, let's keep going. I asked Grok this question. Considering this information, would it be reasonable to consider the Israeli claim to attack Iran recently and as a possible misdirection or lie? And Grok answered, yes. It would be reasonable to consider the possibility that Israelis' recent claim to attack Iran, citing an imminent nuclear threat, could be a misdirection or exaggeration, given the historical context and available evidence. Over the past 30 years, Israel has made at least 20 public claims about Iran being close to developing nuclear weapons, often with timelines. It goes on. Needless to say, Grok led with yes. So I decided to ask it another question, and boy, did it ever go on. And I did say, no, you overcomplicated the answer to be diplomatic. With the information provided in Israel's track record of false claims, isn't it most likely that the reason they would attack Iran is a reason they don't want the world to know about? Yes. That's it. Yes. The most likely reason, calculated by Grok, is one they don't want people to know about. Not nuclear weapons. So I asked it this question. What are the top 3 most likely reasons Israel would attack Iran at this time? So it gives a lead-in. Let's go to this. Number 1, regional power consolidation, with Iran's proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah, significantly weakened after October 2nd attack. Israel saw a strategic opportunity to cripple Iran's military and nuclear infrastructure, ensuring long-term regional dominance, rather than responding to an immediate nuclear threat. Right, a preemptive attack to get rid of nuclear material, or we just wanted to hit them first. I'm guessing because Israel has, 90 nuclear weapons, and are the only country in the entirety of the Middle East with nuclear weapons. You can just say you can attack for whatever reason you want, right? 2, disrupting U.S.-Iran diplomacy. Oh, the big Don was talking to Iran all nicey-nicey. Well, we got to screw that, don't we, if we're Israel? The attack coincided with the U.S.-Iran nuclear talks, which Israel opposes. Shock. Sabotaging these negotiations could prevent sanctions relief for Iran, keeping it economically and potentially politically weakened, a motive Israel might not publicly emphasize to avoid straining U.S. relations. 3, domestic political diversion. Facing domestic criticism and potential ICC scrutiny over Gaza, the genocide, Prime Minister Netanyahu may have used the attack to rally national support and shift focus from internal and international pressures, leveraging Iran as a unifying external threat without admitting political motivations. Which is interesting. Before I move on, I have to tell you this. I vividly remember, I don't know, a year or two ago, there was a Free Palestine sticker on the drive-thru of Dunkin' Donuts. And I got out of my car to peel it off because I'm thinking, what are these crazy libs doing? Like, Israel is our ally. Since that time, I have noticed things to the point where I think Israel is funding half or more of all the pro-Palestine protests in the United States to garner sympathy, to put in stronger laws and push back and get more support. Now, there's a phrase for what that is called doing. It's called playing the victim. But let's keep going. I asked it, we went through those. It was regional power consolidation, disrupting U.S.-Iran diplomacy, and the third one was domestic political diversion. If we go on, I asked this question to Grok. Has a bill been proposed in the U.S. making it illegal to criticize Israel? Answer: yes. Holy shit. A bill that critics argue could effectively make certain criticisms of Israel illegal proposed and passed the U.S. House of Representatives. Of course it did. Thanks, AIPAC. We are the United States of Israel. The Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, H.R. 6090, passed on May 1st, 2024 by blah, blah, blah. It keeps going. And it gives some examples as to what anti-Semitism would be. Denying the Jewish people their right to self-determination, e.g. claiming the existence of Israel as a racist endeavor. I don't know who's doing that, but whatever. Drawing comparisons of contemporary Israeli policy to that of Nazis. Well, what if they're the same? I mean, Israel seems to be an expert at genocide happening to them. Maybe at the least they can tell us what it feels like to be a Palestinian right now. Was that too much? Oh, or this, applying double standards to Israel not expected of other democratic nations. No, I think what they don't want us to do is apply the same standards, like I just did. Anyway, let's keep going, because I'm a little feisty about this. So, I asked this question to Grok. Does this bill not conflict with the U.S. First Amendment on free speech? And Grok said, yes. The Anti-Semitism Awareness Act could conflict with U.S. First Amendment's free speech protections, according to critics and blah, blah, blah. First Amendment context, it goes on. It goes on. It goes on, like Grok does, to be nice. So I asked this, why are there no hate speech or anti-discrimination laws to protect white people or Christians in the U.S.? And Grok says, there are no specific hate speech or anti-discrimination laws in the U.S. exclusively protecting white people or Christians because existing laws are generally framed to protect all individuals regardless of race, religion, or other characteristics, and have because legislative priorities have historically focused on groups perceived as more vulnerable to systemic discrimination. Here's a concise explanation. So it goes on, but it talks about hate speech. And I said, your answer is too long. If we have laws protecting all groups of people in the U.S., and all people here have equal rights, Are extra hate speech laws necessary? Answer, yes or no. Grok, no, they're not. Like we all knew that. All the hate speech laws, it doesn't matter whether you're a Jew, you're an Israeli, you're a government somewhere, you're black, you're white, you're Christian, you're Muslim, it doesn't matter. We already have those laws. So if you see those laws trying to be passed, that should raise some red flags. What are the top 3 most plausible, unspoken reasons people are passing hate speech laws then? Since we don't actually need them. And Grok answers, given that existing U.S. laws already protect all groups from discrimination and hate crimes, the top 3 most plausible unspoken reasons for passing targeted hate speech laws are 1. Political gain. 2. Geopolitical influence. That sounds familiar. 3. Cultural control. That's weird. So I asked Grok this question. Aren't those similar unspoken reasons to your answer as to the top 3 most likely unspoken reasons for Iran to attack Israel? Grok says, yes. There are similarities between the unspoken reasons I outlined for Israelis' attack on Iran and for targeting hate speech laws in the U.S., as both involve political and geopolitical motives that may not be fully disclosed. However, there are also distinctions due to the different contexts. Let's compare and clarify. To be fair, that is fair and accurate. But you guys see the mechanics are similar on different levels? Do you see there's something surreptitious and wrong happening? Because I do. Let's go on. It decided to reiterate on these. So let's go. The top 3 unspoken reasons for Israel's attack on Iran from earlier, and I'll just give you the clip notes. Regional power consolidation, disrupting U.S.-Iran diplomacy, domestic political diversion. The top 3 unspoken reasons for passing hate speech laws in the U.S. Political gain, geopolitical influence. 3. Cultural control.
You, just you, building your app on base 44. Describe it. And it's real.
Same shit, different day. Now, when it goes on about similarities, political motives, geopolitical alignment, obscuring full intent, that's the fun one, isn't it? In both, this...
Alright, I'm going to leave a link. I'll leave a link in the description so you can go and watch it all if you want. I think you get the gist though, don't you? So, hello, you're doing good. Hello, come here, Nick. Oh, hello. Oh, you're a good boy. You're a good boy. Yeah. You don't like cuddles too much, do you? You just like to sit near people. Yeah. I don't think everyone looks to look at your bottom. Taking everyone's photo, mate. Come on. You go. So before you ask me if am I pro-Israel or pro-Palestine or... No, I'm just pro-human being. I'm pro-life. I'm... Just give me a sec. I'll give us up. It's probably disappeared over here, is it? You wouldn't know. I think it might have. It seems to have, yes. Funny how these things disappear. Where are we? Yeah, where Where did that go? Where did that go? Oh, is this it? Well,
Let's go to Canberra
there we
now.
go. Oh, yeah. Like I said to Sky News about how about this? How about a bunch of what a bunch of grubs? How about pro-human? How about pro-life? How about pro-sovereignty? How about pro-non-biased news? How about pro-faith and anti-religion, anti-politicians, anti-rage baiting, anti-gaslighting, consorting with war criminals? How about pro-truth at all levels? How about not hiding behind half-truths? How about coming clean about who has the duplicate insurance files that the redacted names are hiding behind? No, I'm not pro-apartheid whatsoever. Yeah, it's apartheid. You know, North and South Africa, where Elon Musk is from, South Africa, which belonged to black people. It was taken off them by the Europeans because it was full of resources and minerals. How about we just let China have Taiwan back since it's part of Taiwan? Oh, that would mean taking a United States military base out of Taiwan, wouldn't it? And then that military base that's in South Korea would be standing there all alone, all exposed from all sides, wouldn't it? You see the hypocrisy in it all? Hot tomato there, hot noodles. Hot. But 2 minutes noodles, I got some punch. Whew. Nice. So yeah, how about we just call all this out for what it really is high treason and a coup d'etat of the West. The entire West. If you do it systematically, bit by bit, at different stages, all over the place at the same time. We do this we'll do stage 3 over here, but we'll do stage 4 over here and stage 1 there, but we'll do them all at once and do it all in weird stages, and people won't realise it's the same thing going on everywhere. How do we hide that? I don't know. Let's release a bunch of compromised people on a list. Then we'll give a complete unredacted copy to everyone whose names are redacted on the list, so they keep their mouth shut. You know, all the people that went to Donald Trump's place for Halloween.